There comes a time when talking about it ain't enough. Dreaming about it ain't enough. Praying without moving ain't enough. And that time is now. God never created you to sit on potential. You were born for dominion, not delay. You were formed to lead, not linger. The treasure inside of you, it's not waiting for the right moment. It's waiting for the right movement. Potential is one of the most misunderstood and misused gifts that a human being possesses. Every person is born with it, an inner reservoir of possibilities, talents, and divine assignments that haven't yet manifested in the physical realm. But potential by itself is passive. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't move, build, or change the world. It just exists, like a seed sitting in a drawer full of life but producing nothing. When we talk about potential, we're really talking about what could be, what should be. It's the glimpse God gave you in your spirit of the person you were designed to become and the impact you were created to have. But until it's activated by decisive, consistent action, it remains nothing more than an idea, an invisible possibility trapped in the prison of inaction. The tragedy for so many people is not that they failed, but that they never moved. They never started the thing they were called to start. They waited for perfect conditions. They hesitated out of fear. They let time pass, hoping for motivation to show up. But potential doesn't respond to comfort. It responds to obedience. It responds to pressure. And most of all, it responds to action. There's something dangerous about becoming too comfortable with potential. It can make you feel accomplished when you haven't actually accomplished anything. People will say you've got so much talent, and you'll begin to take pride in what you could do without ever doing it. But the world is not changed by what you could do. It's changed by what you do. Untapped potential gives the illusion of greatness without the responsibility of discipline. Potential doesn't pay bills. It doesn't heal broken families. It doesn't build generational wealth. Only action does that. Only execution turns invisible dreams into tangible results. You can't deposit ideas into a bank account. You can't live off of inspiration. You must move from intention to impact. There are people who will live their entire lives knowing deep down that they were made for more, but never stepping into it. Not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked motion. They knew they had the gift, they saw the vision, but they let fear, laziness, doubt, or distraction keep them in the waiting room of destiny. And every year that passes becomes another missed opportunity to walk in fullness. Potential is like spiritual capital. It's not supposed to sit in storage. It's meant to be invested, just like the parable of the talents. What you don't multiply, you lose. If you bury your gift in the ground of excuses, it won't just stay buried. It'll begin to rot. Your anointing doesn't grow through stagnation. It grows through action, through risk, through obedience. Too many people are more committed to their comfort than they are to their calling. They'd rather protect their ego from failure than risk stepping into purpose. But you can't fulfill your assignment with a mindset rooted in safety. Purpose always demands pursuit. It requires courage. It asks you to move even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. We are not held back by a lack of information. We're held back by a lack of execution. In the age of unlimited knowledge, anyone can learn how to start, build, grow, or transform. But knowledge without action is just clutter. Wisdom only becomes power when it's applied. Potential only becomes progress when it's moved upon. The enemy of your destiny isn't failure, it's passivity. Failure is a part of the process, but passivity is a choice to reject the process altogether. It's a decision to delay, defer, and distract yourself until what could have been dies in the soil of hesitation. That is how potential becomes wasted, not because it didn't exist, but because it wasn't honored. You must understand that time is a partner to purpose, but only when used correctly. Potential is perishable. It doesn't last forever. The longer it sits unused, the harder it becomes to activate. The longer you ignore it, the louder the voice of doubt grows. And the more you wait, the more you settle for a version of life that's beneath your calling. People often pray for breakthrough, but God responds to movement. He honors faith in motion. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses lifted his staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until they marched. Miracles often meet momentum. Your job is not to figure everything out in advance. Your job is to move in faith with what you've been given. Excuses are the language of wasted potential. I'm too busy. I'm not ready. What if I fail? All of these are self-sabotaging phrases meant to keep you in the same place. But here's the reality. You don't need more time. You need more urgency. You don't need perfect clarity. You need bold obedience. Waiting will not perfect you. There is a weight to unused greatness, a heaviness in the soul of a person who knows they were called for more but chose to play small. Regret doesn't come from failing. It comes from not trying, from watching someone else live the life you knew you were supposed to step into. You were given potential as a gift, but it comes with responsibility. To sit on it is to dishonor the giver. To hide it is to rob the world of the difference you were designed to make. Your voice, your vision, your creativity, your leadership. They were never meant to stay in seed form. They were meant to be planted, watered, and grown into something fruitful. The world doesn't need another person full of good intentions. It needs someone full of action. Someone who understands that greatness is forged in the fire of discipline, not in the warmth of dreams. Someone who understands that comfort is the enemy of contribution. Every day you delay is a day of purpose lost. Every step you avoid is a step away from who you were created to become. The clock is ticking. The vision is calling. The assignment is waiting. Potential is not enough. Not anymore. Not if you're serious about living fully, loving deeply, and leading powerfully. Your next level will not arrive automatically. It must be activated. And that activation is not emotional, it's intentional. It's what happens when you finally decide that sitting still is no longer an option, that the cost of inaction is higher than the risk of failure, and that purpose, real purpose, can only be accessed on the other side of movement. Feelings are some of the most persuasive forces we encounter on a daily basis. They speak loudly. They feel real. They demand attention. And yet, they often have no loyalty to truth, no allegiance to your purpose, and no commitment to your destiny. Feelings are momentary. They shift like the wind, unstable and unpredictable. And when you build your life around them, you become just as unstable as they are. One of the greatest mistakes people make is trusting their feelings as if they are facts. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you're done. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you're in danger. Just because you feel unqualified doesn't mean you're not called. Feelings are temporary responses, not permanent realities. And if you live your life responding to every emotional impulse, you'll sabotage your own success before it even begins. Discipline, on the other hand, is rooted in commitment. It doesn't care how you feel. It operates off decisions, not emotions. While feelings try to negotiate with your calling, discipline keeps moving forward. Discipline gets up when the alarm goes off, not because it feels good, but because it's the plan. Discipline shows up when motivation is missing. Discipline chooses to obey vision over mood. Most people don't fail because they don't have talent. They fail because they trust their emotions more than their instructions. Your feelings will always try to protect your comfort. Discipline will demand that you step into discomfort to grow. One is a liar, the other is a leader. One wants you safe, the other wants you stretched. You have to choose which one you're going to follow. We live in a culture that idolizes feeling. Follow your heart, they say. Do what feels right. But your heart can be deceitful. Your feelings can be manipulative. If you only do what feels right, you will quit every time it gets hard. You'll walk away from things that require endurance. You'll abandon purpose for pleasure. And you'll miss transformation because it felt too painful. Discipline doesn't need to feel good to be good for you. Some of the most important decisions you will ever make will go against your feelings. Waking up early to pray or plan won't feel good. Saying no to temptation won't feel easy. Keeping your mouth shut in an argument may not feel powerful. But discipline doesn't consult your emotions. It follows your principles. It honors your future more than your present mood. Feelings often tell you to stop when you need to keep going. They tell you you're exhausted when you're just uncomfortable. They scream that you're failing when you're actually being refined. They convince you to settle when discipline is trying to pull you into excellence. And that's why discipline is the truth teller. It keeps showing up long after emotion has walked out the door. People who win in life aren't the ones who always feel great. They're the ones who keep moving despite how they feel. Champions are not controlled by moods. They are fueled by mission. They understand that motivation is nice when it's there, but completely unnecessary for results. They don't wait to feel ready. They take action because they decided to, not because they were inspired to. Discipline does the heavy lifting that feelings try to avoid. It chooses the workout when the body is tired. It chooses the grind when the mind wants ease. It chooses the commitment when the heart wants comfort. Feelings seek the path of least resistance. Discipline chooses the path of greatest reward. And that's why the discipline rise when others sleep, build when others drift, and succeed when others settle. There's a war between the part of you that wants to grow and the part of you that wants to stay the same. Your feelings fight for what's familiar. Discipline fights for what's possible. When you feel like quitting, that's not the truth speaking, it's the weakness reacting. And the only thing that overrides that weakness is the strength of a made-up mind anchored in purpose. Every successful person you admire has mastered the art of ignoring their feelings when it's time to work. They still feel fear. They still feel resistance. But they've trained themselves to act anyway. That's what discipline is. It's the internal muscle that moves you in the right direction regardless of the emotional weather forecast. The problem with building life around feelings is that feelings lie about timing. They'll tell you it's not the right time to start, not the right time to move, not the right time to invest. But discipline doesn't wait for timing. It creates momentum. It understands that done is better than perfect and forward is better than still. Discipline doesn't delay. It decides. Feelings are loud. They cry. They whine. They demand attention. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need hype. It just does the work. Day after day. Rep after rep. Decision after decision. And that quiet obedience, that daily choosing, that consistent follow through, that's where transformation lives. You'll never feel your way into consistency. You'll only discipline your way into change. If you want to grow, you have to stop negotiating with your feelings and start commanding your actions. You can't lead yourself into destiny while asking your emotions for permission. Leadership means making decisions your feelings don't agree with because you know your calling demands it. It's not that your feelings don't matter, it's that they can't be in charge. You acknowledge them, but you don't obey them. You feel them, but you don't follow them. You let them exist, but you don't let them lead. Because when feelings lead, purpose suffers. And when discipline leads, purpose progresses. Every breakthrough you're praying for is on the other side of disciplined action. Every dream you're hoping for will require doing the things you don't feel like doing. Your feelings will always look for an exit. Discipline will always look for an edge. One keeps you average, the other takes you to excellence. What separates high performers from high potential is not emotion, it's execution. High performers understand that feelings are passengers, not drivers. They let them ride, but they don't let them steer. They keep their hands on the wheel of vision and their eyes locked on the road of purpose because they know that success isn't easy. Faith is not just a belief, it's a force. It is the conviction in the unseen, the assurance of things hoped for, and the confidence that what hasn't happened yet can and will come to pass. But faith, as powerful as it is, was never meant to be passive. It was never designed to sit still, quietly waiting in the shadows for life to change. Faith is designed to move. It's designed to work. It's designed to act. People often say they have faith, but their lives show no evidence of it. They talk about dreams, visions, and prayers, but they're still stuck in the same place they were years ago, not because God isn't faithful, but because they haven't moved. Faith is not merely spoken, it is demonstrated. If it doesn't move your feet, it's not faith, it's fantasy. There is a fundamental law in the spirit realm. God responds to action rooted in belief. When you move in alignment with what you believe, you give heaven permission to collaborate with your obedience. The moment you act on what you've been praying for, doors begin to open, resources begin to shift, and things that once seemed impossible begin to manifest. Not because you forced it, but because you moved. Too many people are paralyzed by preparation. They keep saying they're waiting on God when in reality God is waiting on them. You don't need more confirmation. You don't need another sign. What you need is to take the first step. The Red Sea didn't split until Moses stretched out his hand. The waters of the Jordan didn't part until the priest stepped in. Movement activates